Doom vivamos vivamos Epicureans. This is the BCE Comics Pod one-shot edition. I'm your host, Nick Smith, and I'm joined by...
Stojr from Stojr Shelf. How's it going, Nick?
I'm doing well, particularly since we are participating in Kurtis Findlay's Epic Marvel Podcast Reading Club, and this one-shot is going to be our brief thoughts on today's issue, which is Uncanny X-Men number 194, Juggernauts Back in Town. Steve Lea Aloha joins Dan Green on the finishes here. Alright, so the word gets out that the Juggernaut is back in town, and it turns out that he just intends to do a little banking. But as the X-Men have him under surveillance, both he and they are attacked by Nimrod. Well, Nimrod takes the fight to a construction site where no humans will be harmed, and the bashing begins. When the X-Men follow, Nimrod attacks them due to his Sentinel programming, and so the X-Men are fighting on the side of Juggernaut. The fight takes so much out of the team that Rogue absorbs the abilities of all of her teammates and then essentially uses Nightcrawler's teleporting ability to teleport off Nimrod's arm, defeating the Sentinel. Juggernaut and the team then decide to go their own ways rather than continue fighting one another. Alright, Stojr, what are your thoughts here?
I enjoy this issue. It's very simple in what it is, but there are parts of it. I'm watching myself go robotic, and hopefully I'm coming back.
Yep, you are.
All right. There are parts of it that I think are pretty strong and that I enjoy. I like the art throughout this issue. I think the finishers and JR do a pretty good job throughout this, and there's some striking panels throughout the issue. I enjoy the little fun part about how the X-Men hear that the Juggernaut's in town, and they're just like, forget it, hit the snooze button. They're going to sleep in at the beginning of this. The little interlude with Storm in Africa, I think, is really well done. You get the two characters who I'm glancing at the page because I'm trying not to spoil it, but let's just say that those two characters are well-known characters in comics later on. I don't know if they're well-known at the time. They don't overly explain who they are other than saying their names on these pages. So I'm not sure if this is their first introduction or not, but it's a pretty good set of panels there, having Storm showing off her powers. I feel like there's parts of this that are just kind of an excuse to do certain things, right? Like we're putting Juggernaut and Nimrod together just to have like a fight where we thought it'd be cool if we show Rogue with like multiple powers at the same time. So we get that on the cover, we put that in the issue, and that's all fine. Like I'm not crapping on that at all. But the story itself is somewhat thin. I'm not really sure I understand yet Nimrod's motivations, which sounds way more snooty than it sounded in my head. But when I look at this, like I don't understand what that character's trying to do yet. It seems like he's like a Law and Order robot from the future or from some alternate future, and I never thought of him that way. I thought of him as kind of like this evil futuristic sentinel that wants to kill all mutants, but like he's kind of going after Juggernaut and the X-Men almost equally here. So I'm still trying to figure out like what the deal is with this robot. And Nimrod's really the stupidest name in existence. Like it, it sticks and it's got nostalgia, and so like I love it. But at the same time, it like idiot or moron or something like that. And Bug Bunny coined it, if I remember correctly, or maybe I'm misremembering that. So anyway, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like there's a biblical precedent for the name Nimrod, but then again, I might be confusing it with a Babylonian king named Nimrud or something like that. So I might be off base with that. I just had a memory hit me. Did you ever play the app Marvel Snap?
Yeah, I played it for a while actually.
Okay, yeah, I remember when the Nimrod, I fell off pretty quickly, but the Nimrod card came out, and I got that one, and it had some ability where it would duplicate things, and I had some combo I worked out that if I could make it hit, he just duplicated all over the board, and it was crazy insane, and that was just a lot of fun. So I haven't played that game in over a year, I think, but just seeing that guy again just kind of hit. Yeah, you're right. I always thought of him as just this weird sentinel from the future, and so he's protecting humanity. That's what I understood to be his motivation, right? And in his point of view, the protecting humanity is getting rid of mutants, but sure, if Juggernaut is quasi-related, why not try to take him out too? That's what I took from it. I could very well be wrong, but I really...
You have an explanation on the name. Sorry to interrupt, but before we get too far, you are right. There is a biblical figure, named Nimrod. He's the son of Cush. And there's some etymology behind that name, having different meanings and symbolisms and stuff like that. But the modern usage of it being an idiot comes from Bugs Bunny in Looney Tunes.
Oh, you were right.
We were both right.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
He calls Elmer Fudd a poor little Nimrod, playing on the hunter definition, which plays into some of the sort of the ways that name was set up before. So. Anyway, so it was used to describe a mighty hunter in the 18th century, and it changed into an idiot with the Bugs Bunny, because he was calling it to Elmer Fudd, who's a hunter, and that's the connection there.
Right, so. Ironically, right, because Elmer Fudd is not a mighty hunter, right? Okay. See, look, You're getting history and etymology. Look at the service we provide here on the BCE Comics Pod. I really like this issue, honestly. There's so many great little things here. Firstly, let's see. I think I might even be on the page. Here we go. And maybe this gets into the Looney Tunes thing again. The Juggernaut getting punched so hard that he just takes off like a rocket when Nimrod hits him. It's silly, it's stupid, but I love it, right? That's just fun. I really like how John Romita Jr. draws Juggernaut as this big hulking mass, which really plays up on that first splash page there. And I know, like, when Juggernaut first shows up in the when Stan Lee is writing, I think it was when Stan Lee maybe Roy Thomas took over at that point, I don't remember. He's not this big giant hulking thing, but I like that for the Juggernaut. I think that just works really well. Although I do kind of question, you can see on the comic viewer, he's entering the bank without his costume on, right? But then when he's in the bank, his street clothes get shot off by Nimrod, and where does that helmet come from? Where's he hiding that? Is that just like his civvies cod piece or something? He pulls that off and puts it on his head?
Magic.
Right, sure. It's the Crimson Band of Cover My Face. No, I'd have to get the name Sidarok in there, right?
Sidarok, yeah.
The cod piece of Sidarok. I'll just play off of what I already said. Okay, so I like how the Juggernaut is not actually the villain here, right? He's just doing a normal thing. Dude's trying to open a bank account or get a loan or something. And you also know that ever since Rogue joined the team, I'm sure the question on everyone's mind, all the boys who are buying this, is when is she going to absorb everyone's powers and do something crazy, right? Well, here it is. She finally does. She touches everyone. Good touch, not bad touch, and absorbs all their powers, right? So that's cool. And I also like how Wolverine is cognizant of the group dynamic in the beginning, right? He recognizes that Nightcrawler is the best choice to be their leader, but he needs to find a little more confidence. And I thought that was an interesting little introspection from who's presumably the craziest member of the team, right? So all in all, I thought this was really fun. Yes, maybe it's a little simplistic, but that's okay. We've had a bunch of big sweeping things. Give me a little punch 'em up every now and then, and that's what we get here. All right, Stojer, I have a no prize for this one. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, you've kind of hit on this one. So maybe just as a reminder, because it's been a while, we know that the real no prize awards are to explain away some kind of continuity error or whatever. We're appropriating the term just to give out our own little rewards for something that goes well, that we like, a silly little thing, what have you. All right, so for this one, oh, wait a minute. I need to turn off the comic viewer. Here we go. Okay, so the most relatable use of one's superpowers is going to Kitty Pryde for her phasing through her alarm clock to shut it off, and therefore destroying it, right? She doesn't hit the snooze button, she destroys that thing. I could totally understand that. All right, Stoger, do you have any final thoughts, sir?
No, looking forward to the next issue.
Okay, well, once again, thank you very much for watching. If you guys enjoy our thoughts, follow us on YouTube. We're going to read, rate, and review a full big collected edition comic once a month, plus these daily one-shots. So thank you very much, and we'll catch you next time.